Online dating.
I met someone.
What we saw and what we were getting were very different. You see, it's almost like you're going for, you see a Benz, then when you come, you meet a Demio.
I felt so heartbroken, but it's life, we move on. We're looking for the real OGs right now.
5% of users download dating apps because they just got out of a relationship and are looking for someone new.
Online dating is what I've had, and you can imagine that one, I never did it during my time.
So using previous information from other people's profiles, they're able to know if you're this type of man, you probably like this type of thing. So you know how Tinder is, you swipe, you look for mixing mamas.
Because I'm woke. First of all, online dating is what I've had, and you can imagine that one, I never did it during my time, or our cohort didn't do that. It's a new term, which the young generation now are very fond of.
My definition of online dating is when two individuals or multiple individuals access or log into particular sites so that they can meet other people rather than have physical meetings. And this can be an example of when people use Snapchat, Instagram, those are for DMs, and maybe Tinder, where you're matched with somebody else who is interested in a particular person, then you start interacting with each other.
Online dating. Online dating is basically this dating people through an app, or you just see them you don't see virtually, yeah? You don't see them face to face. So basically you just text them through phone or through any device that you have. And my take on online dating is that one, it's really hectic. Or I can say it's a scam. I can say that because I have a very bad experience when it comes to online dating.
My take on online dating is like a fraud. It's not realistic because people usually tend to hide behind a screen portraying a beautiful woman, but it's just a guy trying to scam you for money. Yeah.
I would think that when someone goes for online dating, is it something that you take as a next step after you've failed to get someone who is next to you, someone live you can talk to? But what I look at that online dating is, people are not finding what they want within their environment, and perhaps think if they go to the other side, there could be who they want. But then you look at that as something that has its ups and downs. There's nothing that is 100% beneficial and 100% disadvantageous to whoever is looking for love.
My take on online dating is that people, you have to find where love is. So there are some people who see that when they go to online dating, maybe that's where they are going to find their next partner or somebody whom they want to share a moment with.
With my experience, I think that online dating actually cuts away the legitimate time you get to spend with your partner or the person you want to date. Okay, virtual experience is not as good as physical experience. Even if you'll be on phone calls, it's still online dating because you're using a platform, an online platform. Even if you're texting, even if you're spending hours and hours and hours talking.
Although people download dating apps for different reasons, they tend to be motivated to download by curiosity, convenience, boredom, loneliness, or even hope. Although these are all common motivators, they are not really the only ones. 5% of users download dating apps because they just got out of a relationship and are looking for someone new. Most people's decision to download a dating app, however, is typically a combination of these drivers.
My experience as a man with online dating apps, I can't really complain and I can't really cry about it. I want to say it's fair. Because to some extent, I think I've tested both sides of the fruit. You see, when I started it, at first, as an amateur, when you're logging into things, it was actually out of peer pressure. Because I sit at a place, hang out, chill spot with my boys, and then they're like, you know what? I met this new chick on an online dating app. Another is telling me, you know what? You know my girlfriend came from an online dating app. So I was like, what the hell is this? Then with the rise in tweets and memes of everyone swiping left, swiping right, I was like, I have to try this thing.
The experience has been a bit dramatic, if I can say so, because the first time I ever tried online dating, it was like a hoax in a way, because I texted this lady. I told her, let's meet up at this location, but she never pulled up. But she still insisted on me sending the money to come to the location. And then nilikula fare, lakini hakuna kitu ya maana ilikuja. So, but that's why I don't trust online dating, because it's a scam in a way. Because these days the economy is hard. People are trying to survive. So people are trying to make a way to earn money quickly through fraud.
So one day I'm chilled in the house. I'm like, let me try it out. For my first account, I was shy, so I said I won't put my photo in it. I just picked a random animation photo, kept it there. I did a marvelous, about info, something that can definitely grasp your attention. Then I set it out there. So when it came in, within the first 30 minutes or 1 hour, I was already getting matches and shit. So I was like, is this really true? Is this really true?
There's this one time I applied and I signed up actually for this application called Bumble or something like that. And it's an online dating application. I happened to sign up and I put in my details, my photo, and it happened to be that I got to talk to this one guy and he was quite interesting. But I wasn't so sure about how he was, if his photos were real, how his personality seemed quite good. It was a bit too good to be true. And so I decided not to let it get into my head, and so I decided to just give it a try. I gave him my contact, and after that he just went silent.
I cannot say I was involved, but once there's a time I went into Tinder. So you know how Tinder is, when you swipe, you look for, they say mamas or the ladies. So you check up, then maybe you match up, you have a conversation, but see this conversation is not going anywhere. So that kind of thing. But I have some of my friends whom they ended up getting some people just to hang out with, but from online dating. Maybe there's perspectives that I want to go for a dinner or an outing with another person, not the usual people that I'm with. So I'm looking for somebody different that I'll be better off to spend some time with than with the rest of the people whom I'm used to be with.
And a few weeks later, it happened to be that I was just having a good time in school, and then I received a call from a mysterious number. And of course, I answered it, and it goes, the person who picked up, or the person who called me rather, asked me quite a number of questions, and they started by asking, is this Joy Mwangi? And I'm like, yes, this is her. How may I help you? And the next thing I know is they were saying, we're here with the man who you truly love, and this man truly loves you, and he just wanted to say that he wanted to pass a message of love and to let you know that he cares so much about you and you mean so much to him. And then they ask me, do you know who this man is? And I'm like, no, I don't. Then they're like, but he's your boyfriend. How can you not know your boyfriend? And I'm like, my boyfriend? I don't have a boyfriend as far as I'm concerned. And I was completely confused. And they were laughing in the background. And they were saying, he's here and he's so heartbroken to hear that you said this. And I tried to ask them to tell me who it is. But they said, no. Then they told me the call is being recorded and it's actually a show that they're recording. And I was like, okay. And I did not know anyone that I gave my contact. They gave me the name of the show. I won't disclose it. But I didn't know anyone. I don't know anyone personally who is in that show and has my contact, or I've interacted with anyone from that show. So then I came to join the dots that it could be that they got my number from the Bumble. Actually, I was told that they did get my contact from there eventually when I did my research. But I didn't understand. So this is someone who's led me on, I've shared my contact, and I've happened to interact with this person one way or another, online, yes, virtually. But they were only doing it for their own selfish gains and to be able to have a show, or rather, the people say for clout. I felt so heartbroken, but it's life, we move on. We're looking for the real OGs right now.
So I decided, let me open these messages and see if they're true. To my shock, I was told you're supposed to pay for a premium fee before you see these messages. So I was like, what's the guarantee that these 9 people sending me these messages actually exist for me to pay it? So that day, that's where my journey ended that day. Shut it off, I deleted the app. I didn't want anyone to know I was in an online app. So I got off. I stayed for a week. Then one of my boys, we were chilling with him, then he was like, bro, you should try it. Let's use my account. My account is paid for. So we did that. Sat down, made a payment for a new account, me and him, took a random picture of my cousin, definitely not us. Then we posted it up. We wanted to see what happens there. So we paid. Then we found that out of the 9, there's actually a favorable amount of people who are actually genuine in it. But then the only problem was 1. Now what you see is what you see really there. At some point we did convince one person, a lady, a lovely lady I want to believe, to meet us. So, and I want to say looks are very deceiving to some extent, because what we saw and what we were getting were very different. You see, it's almost like you see a Benz, then when you come you meet a Demio. No offense to Toyota, but it was quite the expression. Then the only problem is no one tells you should take precaution. You should take precaution so that if you ask for a Benz and you meet a Toyota, what are you supposed to do then? Do you run away? Do you do what? And the person has already seen you. So you are like, so you're already there. There's nothing that can happen. So you just have to give in to it.
For me, online dating is neutral because it also has positive side. Some people have, through online dating, they've dated, then they have gone till marriage. Whereas for some, online dating has been a scam to them. They don't get what they saw that's going to happen. So maybe that's why you find cases of you're receiving somebody whom you're not expecting, or maybe that's why you find somebody is killed. Some negative side comes of it. So it usually goes both ways. It's a matter of somebody's luck.
Definitely, the upper side that I wanted to say, especially for bachelors, is the fact that you do get a lot of one thing a good friend of mine calls a temporary pleasurable amount of time. It's quantified. I mean, you're there for a good time, not a long time, which is, I think, a perfect setup for a modern day bachelor. Just there for a good time, not a long time. So that's the upside of it. And the low side of it was that, some of the deceptive measures that are there, and it's also very dangerous because at some extent, maybe you might find someone like us, me, who uploaded a picture of an animation. Maybe I might even be a lady. I'm catfishing someone, I'm pretending to be someone else. Then at the end of the day, then something marvelous is I actually came to meet a movie on Netflix that spoke about the same. It's called, I think, Love Hard or something, whereby a lady met someone online, then she believed this will be the right guy. Then this guy was described the pictures for an American guy looking like a model. So the chick flew over, I think she took a flight, she flew to the other state, only to meet the other guy was an Asian guy, very short guy, very Asian, nothing modeling about it. Very disappointing. So yeah, I can say it's how you play your cards. If you play them right, you'll get what you want. If you play them wrong, you won't get what you want. But for those who are going there looking for life partners, be very cautious. That's a place where you don't go looking for love. I'd say go looking for fun. That's my perspective about it.
To me, okay, let's say to me I prefer face-to-face because I tend to know who you are. Because, okay, for me, I use the tactic of looking into someone's eyes. I look at your eyes and I know what you are, what you think about who you really are. So if I text you on, there's something called the power of the keyboard. The power of the keyboard is where you can say anything just because you're behind the keyboard. But when you're face-to-face, they tend not to because they are afraid. But if they're behind the keyboard, they can say anything they want to say. So face-to-face makes you become yourself. You tell me exactly who you are and you express yourself better. So to me, I prefer face-to-face. Yeah.
The negatives outweigh the positives when it comes to online dating. Most people who are online are not genuine. They are there, some of them, for very different reasons. They want to introduce something into somebody that you don't know, and they want company. So they may want just to use you very, very few people, a small percentage. Unfortunately, I've not read any study which gives the percentages of what online dating is as compared to one-on-one dating. But you find a majority are not. And I'm sure you've heard where parents, relatives, everybody complaining about online dating because it ends up in very bad situations, even others being killed. It's the worst extreme. It is people in online are not genuine. You can get a very small percentage where someone says, I'm going in here particularly for this person, and when I get them, we are hitting it and start a family. Very, very rare cases. But the majority of the cases, you find that it ends up very, very badly. So I think there are dangers more on online dating than when you than the local. What is the comparison? The local dating, something like that, as compared to the local dating. Yes, one-on-one rather.
Well, I've been engaged in making a few apps previously as a hobby and also as part of a team. I've been able to make apps. I've been part of a bunch of teams that make apps and also in these boot camps. Yeah. They implement the use of AI, which based on previous people, it's like a database of information. They take people's information, and based on what they submit, like your age and your info, they are able to match with another record on the same database. Let's say if you're a young man, you're looking for this type of ladies. So using previous information from other people's profile, they're able to know if you're this type of man, you probably like this type of lady. So they use that information to give you what you like. So that when you get in at first, you're able to have a good experience, and now that makes it addictive. Yes, well, there are some dangers because when you have people giving information, sensitive information, it's usually stored, and the goodness, it's not a good. Okay, on the technology side it's good, but on the human side it's not good because it has a profile of you. So if somebody just mentions something about you, let's say you just give a small information about you, that piece of information is kept forever. And if, let's say you keep chatting with this person and they just pick a bit of information every day about you, they're able to come up with a useful piece of information that you didn't give them like at once. They just pieced it together, and then using common sense, human sense is different from machine learning, how machines know, because a machine cannot guess exactly where you stay. But if you tell a machine Kileleshwa and let's say somewhere else, a location somewhere, the human is able to know, oh, this is near this petrol station. Like, you're able to pinpoint exactly where someone is. But for a machine, it's not that simple, because the way the human mind is, we know humans have the best memories. So using that small piece of information, it's a risk, because they are able to know more things about you. Okay, that actually depends on the developer. There are some developers who are secure. They actually make an effort to make sure your info is secure. But any information you put online is not 100% secure. There's a small risk that it will still get hijacked. Actually, unless you know that the site is secure, the high chances that your information is not secure. So you better just not put your information online. There has been a trend for developers to use such methods for research. Okay, they say it's research and development, but they usually test. It's like testing their AI mechanisms to see how they can cope with different profiles. So one way of doing that is using female profiles to target male audiences. So they apply the logic on a female profile, and then they release it for males so that they can interact with it. And now from that they are able to gather data about how good their product is. So if a human can be able to interact without discerning that it's not actually a human, they usually see that as something profitable to them, because they can apply that same logic to something else. So the chances of a female, they're high chances, because actually what they do, they first do that, and then when they see you're sharp, now they try to match you with a real actual human. Yeah. Advice for online dating: find a person first. Find a real actual. Okay. Don't give out so much information. And if you're dating online, you have to first meet the person in reality, and then now you can take it online. Basing that this is a human, this is an actual person, and you're not chatting with software and finding out later on that there's nobody actually there. Yes.
So back in the day, I remember when I was in primary, say class 7, I was about 12 years. I think I fell in love. So I fell in love with one young man. His name was Jason. And I think Jason never felt my vibe. So my way of communication to Jason was through bringing cookies from my dad. My dad is a chef, and he used to bake a lot. So I knew those are things that people really appreciated about me, because every time I came with snacks in school, guys would really come to my desk. So I'd have special packages for Jason to communicate my love. And I remember sometimes I would tell Dad to make me love cupcakes, but I didn't have the guts to tell Jason that I loved him.
In our cohort, when I talk our cohort, I'm looking at the people at my age. We didn't have that. You had someone, perhaps they are introduced to you, and sometimes it's the parents or relatives who do it. This is a nice girl. We have a nice guy somewhere. And the marriage worked. So we didn't have the options you people have. And therefore, that's why all these now too are here. For you to choose which, is it the person next to me or that other person?
When I think about dating back then and today, I feel like, first of all, I was a liar. And the fact that I didn't have my own space or my own gadget to communicate to the person I loved made me lie to my parents. And I would tell Mom to help me with her phone, I wanted to talk to somebody like Annah, who's a girl, because I know Mom wouldn't refuse. But you see, in the real sense, I want to talk to Steve or Martin. So that lie would make me feel guilty about myself. And I feel like if I was empowered with something or a space where I could just connect with the person I love directly, then I'd feel like a person who belongs in society, because the guilt for me wasn't doing justice. So as I mentioned earlier that I'm a mother of boys, I feel like I will empower my kids with the gadgets that they need, obviously talking about the pros and cons of technology, because I'm woke.
So we've heard it. Different people have different unique stories about technology. So we can't really classify whether it's good or bad. You just have to have your own experience to know exactly whether it works for you or it doesn't. My name is Kevin Owiti. I've been your host. Catch me next time. Thank you so much.